Tell me something, my friend. You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight? What? I always ask that of all my prey. I just like the sound of it. Welcome to the Pixelpop Movie Podcast. I'm your host this fortnight, Toby. With me this fortnight, I'm joined by the fell into a vat of chemicals and now he's white with a smile he can't get rid of, Lucas.
I also am a little bit red from the sun, but we'll go with it.
Right. And my father stuck a razor blade into my mouth and asked, why so serious? Jesse.
Well, you know, I don't really like to talk about that in public, for sure.
This fortnight, we've got quite a collection of trailers and news to get through. And so we're going to hammer through that. And we've got two topics of conversation, per se, this fortnight. The first being the Breaking Bad movie El Camino, which is a sequel to the TV series, which Lucas has watched. We'll be doing some spoiler-free thoughts and discussion on that. And, of course, then after that, we're going to be talking about the Joker film from DC, which Jesse has seen, and that'll also be spoiler-free discussion. So if you haven't seen either, don't sweat it. You can just sit in and get comfortable and enjoy the show. But before we get to that, we're going to start with news. Normally I'd throw it off to Ethan, but he's away for this episode and most likely next fortnight as well. So I'm going to throw it off to myself. And
Take it away, Toby!
Take it away, Toby! So first cab off the rank is we had the reveal, or the full cast reveal, of the upcoming Death on the Nile Hercule Poirot film from Kenneth Branagh, and the cast looks to be Gal Gadot, Armie Hammer, Rose Leslie, Kenneth Branagh himself, Tom Bateman, Annette Bening, Letitia Wright, Emma Mackey, Dawn French, Jennifer Saunders, Russell Brand, et al. Pretty solid looking cast. I know the first movie was pretty, if you remember, had a really solid cast too. Yeah, I think we had, Depp was in there, wasn't he? And
Johnny Depp, there was, what's her name? Daisy Ridley, there was a ton of.
But I did like the original Kenneth Branagh and I met her on the own expense, so I'm looking forward to this. It's taken a couple of years, but the cast looks good. I'm interested to see what sort of character Brand plays too, because normally he's the real goof. And with the recent sort of Sacha Baron Cohen and Adam Sandler serious roles in their respective TV series and movie, I'm interested to see if he's going to play the goof or something a bit more serious. Anyway. Yeah. I'm just going to move down this list in no particular order. We had our first official trailer for Birds of Prey. Dun dun dun. Did you see that?
This looks tight.
Lucas, I'm sure you've got something to say.
Yeah, I was just going to say, this looks tight. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Not really much more I can say. I want to see more, but yeah, so far it's kind of in the vein of like Aquaman. Like, DC's getting better in my opinion ever since probably Wonder Woman. I like Justice League. Again, I've already talked about that, but I mean, everything's gotten better since Wonder Woman. This just looks like it's continuing the trend for DC, which hopefully is a good thing.
See, like I'm right there with you. I think it looks pretty tight too. Tight like my asshole puckered with by how much I hated this fucking trailer.
Not keen, says Jesse.
Not keen as resident DC fan for everyone knows me.
Yes, you are.
No,
I'm kind of in the middle right now. Like I'm a little apprehensive. I'm very much aware that this could very quickly be a Suicide Squad.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. Is I gotta say, it wasn't. I can't figure out exactly what it was in the trailer that I didn't like, but I really like the fact that Ewan McGregor's in it. I love Ewan McGregor. I'll watch anything he's in. So I think it's great that he's in it. And is he playing Black Mask or not?
He is definitely playing Black Mask.
Like, I think the biggest thing that I just didn't like about the trailers, I thought the trailers looked fine, but this isn't a Birds of Prey movie. It's a Harley Quinn led Birds of Prey movie. And the Birds of Prey characters were like indistinguishable in the background. Like, apart from being an actual fan of the comics and saying like, oh, maybe that's Huntress, maybe this is this person. Who the fuck even are any of these girls? I see Harley Quinn and a bunch of women in dark clothing, and that's it.
Well, this is leading into, the rumor is this is going to be leading into Gotham City Sirens.
Yeah, which
Harley Quinn's a massive part of.
And side tangent, not that I'm going to derail, because I know how easily we derail, but I'm just noticing quietly that the pressure for that Snyder Cut of Justice League is just not abating at all. If anything, it's still increasing. And there's still leaks, and there's still snippets, and there's still pressure, and there's still cast members and that are slipping up and saying things or leaking things. Like, it's not going away.
Well, it's actually funny you bring that up. So there's a whole bunch of renewed interest in the Snyder Cut, because did you hear about what got announced over New York Comic Con?
I did not. Enlighten me.
Henry Lennox, who was, don't say his, what was his character? You might remember, Jesse, his character name in Man of Steel.
Oh, no, Jesse
I can't remember, but the guy who was the general who worked with Superman, and then he ended up getting the bullet traced to Luthor back in Batman vs Superman. The long-term payoff was that he was going to be Martian Manhunter.
Yeah.
And they'd sown the seeds in Man of Steel.
Right.
Specifically when Superman breaks the handcuffs in the interrogation room and walks up to the window, everyone stands back except for him, and he's going face to face with him because he knows he's an alien. And apparently Henry Lennox has known since Man of Steel came out that was what the plan was going to be, and he was gearing up for Justice League to be revealed as Martian Manhunter, and they cut it.
Yeah.
Right. All right, next we have a trailer for a Ryan Reynolds film hitting Netflix. He seems to be doing very well on the streaming services at the moment, and that is Michael Bay's Six Underground, which is essentially the story of sort of six untraceable agents totally off the grid. This sort of like Black Ops, I guess you would call it. Did you guys catch the trailer?
Yeah, this looks really cool.
It does look pretty cool.
Catch it.
Yeah,
it's more of a. Did you? I mean, if you. Well, I mean, the movie was terrible, but that sort of. It's more of a action Reynolds piece, a la, say Blade 3 or one of those things where there's a lot more fighting and shooting and stuff.
Safe House.
Yeah, because Reynolds has kind of got his dramatic or comedic pieces, and then sometimes he has these sort of like, well, including Deadpool, he has these really action-orientated pieces, and this looks like the latter.
Yeah.
Doesn't look too bad. I mean, it's hitting Netflix anyway, so you're going to watch it.
Hey, look, I'm just saying, his action stuff in Two Guys Ago on a Pizza Place was pretty good.
Yep. His ability to quickly load a pistol was just second to none in that pizza place.
And something that's exciting me, I know some people are probably going to groan with it, but there's a new Bourne movie being developed, assumingly with Matt Damon. And
Is Paul Greengrass going to be directing it?
I'm not sure. It's early days, but it's looking like it's going to connect into the Treadstone TV show as well, which is coming, which we knew about. So I'm keen for that. I actually sat down and watched the original Jason Bourne. Well, when I say the original one with Matt Damon the other night, and was just reminded of how awesome a film it is, and really enjoyed it. So I'm keen for more. Although Damon is starting to get a little bit old, so it's. I mean, he's not like he's old, but in terms of being that sort of intense. I mean, Christ, if Harrison Ford can do it, right? But it's going to have to be time for him to probably hang up the Jason Bourne gloves soon. Although I must admit, he bulked up and looked pretty formidable in the last one. So
he did. Maybe they'll just wheel out Tommy Lee Jones to be like opposite him, make him look less old.
Fun fact though, regarding that Treadstone series you were talking about, this dropped I think yesterday. Treadstone will be coming to Amazon Prime in Australia next year.
Lovely.
Like the whole thing in one go, I'm assuming after it's finished airing.
Sweet, looking forward to it. Anyway, we're getting a Inspector Gadget live action movie reboot, so no more Matthew Broderick, and being developed by Disney. I mean, I'll at least wait for a trailer, right?
But yeah. Well, the question is like, who would they cast?
Not Matthew Broderick.
Banadoodle Cumbush Noodle.
Yeah.
it's either him or Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah. Or you could do somebody like John Cusack, and he'd just be really angry about it the whole time because he doesn't want to do comedy.
Oh, can it please be Nicolas Cage?
Actually, that would work in a really horrible way.
Speaking of Robert Downey Jr.,
we got a first look at Doolittle, not Dr. Doolittle, because I believe it was renamed, was it not?
Yeah,
it was retitled yesterday.
Yeah, so now it's just Doolittle. Did you catch the trailer? I did.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
It looks really. You know what? The only thing that worries me, just the slightest, is Downey's performance just resonated of Sherlock Holmes. Like, it's because of the accent and the period. And I just want to make sure
it was Sherlock crossed with Charlie Chaplin from his
and I hope that he's able to give the character enough of its own unique personality that if I watch this film, I don't think that during the course of the film.
he had a very Johnny Deppy kind of vibe in that trailer, like someone that's dangerously close to another.
Yes. Apart from that, though, it looks like it's going to be a good, wholesome, family fun movie, and special effects and all that look pretty good. So, I won't see it at the cinema, but I would definitely watch it on a home release for sure. After that, I sat down and watched a trailer for Jungle Cruise. This is featuring a much-loved Emily Blunt, Dwayne Johnson, directed by Jean Collet-Serra, and it's based on a Disneyland theme park ride. I was worried going into this. Yeah, I was worried going into this that it might be like a Jumanji style thing. Just when I first heard about it, it's not. You know what it feels like to me more than anything else is a Mummy movie. Like the original, the Mummy with Brendan Fraser. It feels like one of those.
Yeah, it definitely
like that
does.
crossed with Romancing the Stone or something.
Possibly a little bit of that, and maybe a touch of The Librarian with Noah Weil or White, whatever his name was.
Yeah.
Oh, man, those were good movies.
They were fun. They were just fun movies. You know?
But no, I definitely agree. This definitely looks like a kind of a hybrid between them. And then like Emily Blunt's also a really funny girl, and putting her alongside The Rock, and then having the two of them also alongside Jack Whitehall. Like, this movie is going to be funny, but it's also going to be like, it looks really cool. It's got some good action and adventure, and the thing is too, you don't get a lot of adventure films these days.
No,
they're not very
a
common.
genre that seems to be getting a kind of resurgence through like kid-friendly family movies, which I hope people start doing more stuff like indie.
Yeah, but that's the other thing I do miss. We don't get anymore. Is if you cast your memory back to Raiders of the Lost Ark, that wasn't a kids movie. I like period, more mature adventure films, and they just don't make them anymore. Yeah. They just don't.
Well, how many people love the Brendan Fraser Mummy movies for the exact reason?
For the exact same reason. Yeah, even that to me was probably not quite dark enough. I would have liked to have seen it a bit more. Again, like Raiders of the Lost Ark to me is just the benchmark. So
yeah. We
also had a second trailer for Charlie's Angels. Which I watched, and again, this is the first thing I think I've seen in a long time / ever with Kirsten Stewart, where I actually think I'm going to like her performance. She just looks great in this film.
Hey! Now she's pretty good in every movie she's in with Jesse Eisenberg.
Yeah, because neither of them know how to express any emotion.
See, I hate Jesse Eisenberg, but they somehow have good chemistry.
Jesse Eisenberg just plays, borderline sociopath.
You just hate anyone called Jesse.
I like Jesse Eisenberg, probably because I'm a borderline sociopath.
But with this one again, like I'm feeling like the cast around her isn't enough to kind of help her get there. But meanwhile, underwater though, everyone that was in underwater, like I was genuinely like scared in that trailer, and I seem to like her because of how she was interacting with everyone else. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I just disagree, but that's fine. Anyway, moving on. We had a trailer for Onward, which is Disney and Pixar. Pixar. This is with Tom Holland, Chris Pratt, Octavia Spencer. Yep. It's basically like Netflix's Bright, I guess, is one way of putting it. It was once a fairy tale land of magic and dragons, and now it's a modern society.
Will Smith is there.
Yeah, they use a staff to try and bring his father back from the dead, and it goes wrong, and only half his dad comes back, and they sort of go on this hijinks adventure to try and bring the rest of him back, and it looks alright. It was, from what I saw of the trailer, it's going to be, something that, if you've enjoyed Toy Story or the other Pixar stuff, you're probably going to want to go and see. Apparently there's an Easter egg in Toy Story 4 for Onward as well. Yeah, like one of those sort of things. They like to link all their movies together and certain ways. Yes, apparently they put an Easter egg in Toy Story 4.
Yeah, I was about to say, kind of like how in Toy Story 3, I think it was, they teased the good dinosaur.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, wow, that was such a good lead.
Yeah. So anyway, it looked alright. If you haven't watched the trailer, check it out. It'll also be in the article on the Pixpop Network website, so it's easy to find. We also had a trailer for The Turning, starring Mackenzie Davis, Finn Wolfhard, who's everywhere now, and Brooklyn Prince. This is a horror film, really. Did you guys catch the trailer?
No, I haven't seen this one yet.
Unfortunately, I missed it too.
It looks reasonably spooky. So she's a live-in nanny. The parents are gone, and as always, you move into it's always a mansion too. So it's not a period piece. I don't think. I think it's sort of more modern, like present day. Yeah, it looks all right. It looks a little bit spooky. I'm not 100% on the special effects. You don't get to see a lot, but it looks all right. So again, to me, it'd be the sort of thing you watch at home. I don't like horror films in the cinema, not because I get spooked. It's because I don't get spooked enough. You know what I mean? It's a big open area and lots of people coughing, sneezing, and farting. It's not scary.
And talking
and on their phones and rustling chips and texting and laughing and when they shouldn't be, and then my wife restraining me from killing them. We had a trailer for Earthquake Bird, interesting title, with Alicia Vikander and some other people. I didn't care. I have the hots for Alicia, so I watched
Alicia.
the trailer.
We know.
Yeah, she's a honey. It's a weird trailer. I don't know if you watched it. It looks like a thriller. And I watched what I liked about the trailer is I watched it, I got a feeling of the pace and that it's a thriller, and I have no idea what's going on. Like, it didn't really spoil. I don't know if it's supernatural, because it looks like there's a scene where there might be a ghost, but I don't know if it's just her going insane. Like, it really didn't give away too much. So to me, that was a really good trailer, because it should interest you and intrigue you without explaining anything to you, and it did it quite well.
It was kind of like it's kind of like a more restrained version. It was kind of like The Witch's marketing back when The Witch came out, where it was like no one really knew exactly what this movie was about.
Yeah. And then one that I'm sure Lucas has been eagerly waiting for, and that was we had the Red Band trailer for Zombieland Double Tap.
Yes.
I'll be honest, I have no idea why they're doing it. But in all the marketing, they're like, from the director of Venom and the writers of Deadpool. Yeah, these are the same guys that wrote the first movie.
Yeah, I know. I
really did the first movie.
Quoting this in their own sequel.
Yeah, like, you would think from the people who made the first Zombieland movie and also did these other projects, like, they're just basically ignoring that, like, Ruben Fletcher and then Rhett Reese and all that have nothing to do with this sequel. Or even acknowledging that they had anything to do with the original film. So it's just really strange how they're marketing the film.
Well, you guys are Supernatural fanboys, aren't you?
Heard of it?
He owns all the Blu-rays in 4K gold-plated. Yeah, so Jared Padalecki's Walker Texas Ranger reboot is apparently really happening.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yep.
Because everyone at first thought it was a troll, like it was just some sort of weird meme.
Yeah.
We're doing the season 15 of Supernatural. They said it was going to be the final season, and then
this time.
No, 100%. Like they're fully saying goodbye to it now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's season 15 is going to be the final one.
Thank fuck for that. Not because I dislike Supernatural, but holy shit, 15 seasons.
Yeah, 300. I think it's going to end on 315 episodes.
God,
it's something crazy what it's going to end on.
Yeah.
But yeah, like everyone was wondering kind of what's going to happen to these guys, like what's going to happen to the main three after the show's done. And it was just kind of like the news of this dropped so quick after the announcement that season 15 is going to be the final season that everyone's like, oh, it's going to be a meme. And then no, it's not. It's 100% happening. And I think it's actually being produced by CW, right?
Oh.
Who do Supernatural.
Yeah, and such
yes,
other hits.
It's going. Yeah, CW's doing it. Yeah,
which is wild. The TV station in the States that's known for doing like edgy teenage dramas is going to be doing a full-on fucking Walker Texas Ranger reboot.
Yep.
Yeah, look, I'm all for Gossip Girl coming back. I like.
You know what's also wild is the amount of stuff getting crammed into Crisis on Infinite Earths at the moment in the Arrow TV series. Have you seen that shit?
Have you seen the two pieces of news that dropped today?
Well, the rumor I was going to mention, it was someone put up a Twitter post that they noticed that Tom Ellis was on set in costume, and so Lucifer might also be appearing in there as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they've just got everybody in there.
It makes sense because that version of Lucifer that he's doing on TV is the Lucifer from the Sandman comics, which technically is DC because it's part of Vertigo.
That's right.
And then you've also got the big rumor that apparently some stuff relating to Michael Keaton's Batman has been seen on set.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that, and I was super excited.
And the other big rumor is that the Titans will be showing up.
All right, moving along. So Apple TV Plus are upping their game, of course, because everybody's getting into streaming now. And one project they're kicking off is Lizzie's Story, which is a Stephen King adaptation, because Stephen King is the IP to have in your pocket at the moment. So Julianne Moore is already set to appear, and they've now secured Clive Owen for the series as well. So getting some names, which is what you kind of need if you're going to do a premiere show on a new premiere TV, streaming platform. So cool. I guess if you're a King fan, it kind of sucks at the moment because his stuff is just everywhere. Like Hulu's got a bit, and Netflix has got a bit now.
Yeah, Netflix
Apple
just
TV
launched that In the Tall Grass.
Yeah, which I did watch. It was okay.
Fine.
It had a few gross scenes, but yeah. I'm not keen to jump on Apple TV just yet. Not with Disney Plus, arriving next month. So, but it's cool to know that that's out there. I guess especially if you're someone that's on an Apple device all the time, like on the go, it might be something you watch on the way to work. Training Day is getting a prequel movie, and it's in the works at Warner Brothers. Denzel Washington. I mean, I don't think we have any details on cast. I can't imagine you're going to de-age Denzel Washington for this, but or Ethan Hawke for that matter. I'm guessing it's going to assume new actors playing probably at least one new actor playing a young version of Denzel Washington is my guess. Maybe it's how he gets trained.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you think that perhaps if Anton Fuqua comes back to direct this one, because he was the original director, wasn't he?
He was.
Do you think that perhaps he might bring Michael B. Jordan in to then be a young Denzel because he works with him?
Yep, it would work. Yep,
and that'd be a good name for the box office too.
Yeah. Rumor has it that Sony may be looking to sell the Masters of the Universe movie that we knew was coming with a little scrawny friend to Netflix, which says to me, bow.
I'll be honest, this makes sense because Kevin Smith's doing the animated adaptation.
Right.
So, like the Castlevania style Masters of the Universe show.
But I suspect Sony thinks it's not a hugely bankable film. They'll want to take a massive risk on multi-million dollars worth of advertising. Let's flog it off to Netflix, right?
Yeah.
So Sam Raimi, legendary director and creator of the Evil Dead series, is being confirmed to be working on a new Evil Dead project. Bruce Campbell, I believe, is producing, but he's not starring. Whether this is a reboot, of course, because we had the, whatever it was, 2015 or whatever it was, movie. I don't know at this stage, but it is confirmed that something is coming, which is neat, considering that the TV series was, I think, terminated after, 3 seasons?
Mm-hmm. It was. And I'll be honest, should not have been cancelled.
No.
The ending of that series was amazing. Like, I now want to know what happened.
It's a very uneven but damn good show. It's very strange.
So it was at New York Comic Con, and Raimi is quoted as saying, "There is more Evil Dead coming." Before explaining, Campbell is tired of me throwing blood on him. 40 years of Bruce and those sticky syrup shirts. He wants to work again, but he doesn't want to play that role right now. So, yeah, that's fine. I didn't mind the Evil Dead reboot. I think you can't put it in the same pigeonhole as the original films because they're just so radically different. And, I don't think you could even put the TV show. I know there was talk about sort of bringing the two characters together. I don't think that would have worked because the reboot is not comedic in any way, shape, or form. It's a completely serious horror film.
It's a straight up horror movie,
and that was fine. It was scary and it was good. But I think whatever Raimi's doing, he can't just make the same movie again because it's been made a couple of times now. Like he needs to do something completely fresh. Whether that's working.
Fresh.
Well,
if he
maybe
he
could do another. Yeah, well, he could do another Army of Darkness story.
Yeah, he could. Yeah, I mean, Army of Darkness is apart from Evil Dead 2,
it's very popular and it hasn't been touched on,
No.
since that film. So that's a possibility. Another juicy, I thought was quite juicy, bit of news is there is going to be a female-led John Wick spin-off entitled Ballerina. And, if you've watched John Wick 3, not that it's a big spoiler, we know that there's that whole scene where he visits an old friend, and we see her training a variety of assassins, and one of which is, a number of which are ballerinas.
A number of which, I was going to say, there's quite a few that are training as ballerinas.
Yeah, very strong-looking ballerinas too.
Yes, very, very buff ballerinas.
So there's already a continental TV show spin-off, which we knew about. That's coming to Stars. But this is separate.
I think this will be to John Wick what the first Annabelle film was to The Conjuring. It's like, can we sustain this outside of it? Hopefully, it's not a massive flop like Annabelle.
Yeah. It's the same. It's the same, but it's different. But I 100%.
You're seeing the tinfoil hat theories banging around the internet that John Wick is in the same universe as Matrix.
Yeah.
I haven't, but I need to go looking for it.
Yeah. People are drawing parallels and sort of saying, I mean, beyond the obvious, guns, lots of guns line, they're trying to draw parallels between the two and say that, it's the same world.
Look, if Hugo Weaving wants to come into John Wick, I'm all
That would be cool.
All right, and the last bit of news / trailers we've got is for 1917, which got its second trailer. And while the trailer won't show it, the movie itself is just one long, apparent, but obviously not actually, cut.
Yeah. Well, basically, it's going to be like, a one-shot film.
So it's going to be like Birdman.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. It's done in real time, and it's...
I was going to say, however, it's obviously set around World War One.
Yeah, and there's no... all the cuts are very cleverly hidden.
Yeah, which is going to be cool. So, like...
It's very really difficult from what I've seen, too, because there's some really long... There are some genuinely long scenes that involve lots of running and explosions and special sort of, like bullets and squibs and on-set sort of stuff, and, it would have been very demanding on the crew. But I think, like the director suspects, I think it's going to pay off. I think it's going to look amazing.
Oh, yeah. Man, I mean, like, it paid off for Birdman as well. Like, they cleverly hide where they changed cuts in that.
Mm.
Yeah. Cast for this is actually pretty cool, too. Mark Strong, Andrew Scott, Richard Madden, Colin Firth, Benedict Cumberbatch. Yes, this looks like it's going to be really good. So I think it comes out, too, on Boxing Day. So we're not long off this coming out.
All right. Well, that wraps up all of our news and trailers for this fortnight. Now we're going to step into some spoiler-free, and this is predominantly just going to be, obviously, Lucas here, some spoiler-free discussion on the Breaking Bad movie El Camino, which landed on Netflix Friday while I was down in PAX. Tell us all about it, Lucas.
So basically, for those that don't know what this is, it's basically the final, what you could call 2 episodes of Breaking Bad, following the events of what happened at the end of the season finale with Jesse. So obviously the movie is titled El Camino after the name of the car that he escapes in at the end of the series. And it basically, like, it's one of those movies where does this
pick up sort of minutes after the series, or
it shows you the final, it basically like replays you the final scene and then cuts.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to spoil this because people may not have seen the TV series, but from my recollection, the end of the show, at least for Jesse, sees him, he escapes from some captors after being held for some time, and he drives away.
I'll be honest, this is probably one of the best TV shows ever made, and if you haven't seen it 6 years after it finished, you deserve to be spoiled. But, like, so basically, at the end of the series is that Jesse's given up by Walter to the neo-Nazis that he used to work with, basically to kill him, but they don't kill him. Instead, they use Jesse to recreate Blue Crystal.
Yeah.
And then Walt finds out that he's getting... that Jesse's still alive, basically, and he goes after him and goes to save him. And then the ending of the show is that Walt has succumbed to a bullet wound, I think, and he basically dies in the lab that Jesse's been creating the meth in. And Jesse jumps in an El Camino and he leaves the compound of the neo-Nazis. Like, he just drives off.
Yeah.
And then this show then picks up where basically it's now Jesse's on the run. But this is all about Jesse basically trying to escape the cops and get away from the life, which he'd been trying to do since season 4. So basically, we then get to see whether or not he gets to do that and he gets a happy ending or not. So,
right,
but it is excellent. Like, I think as of like Saturday morning, like 10 a.m. Saturday morning, I went to IMDb, and something I'd never seen before. The show was still a perfect 10 on IMDb's user ratings.
Well, it's currently a 7.8.
Is it really? It's dropped that fast.
Yeah, Metascore at 73, and IMDb has it at 7.8 out of 10.
Yeah, wow.
But that's normal. That's normal.
That's dropped dramatically. But no,
look, even still, like at nearly an 8 out of 10, that on IMDb tends to be pretty aggressive, as can Metacritic. So, I've watched stuff that's an IMDb 6. And I've watched stuff that's IMDb 6 that's good. If it's below 5, that's where I usually start skipping it. So, and that's based off nearly 70,000 reviews. Now, there's going to be a lot more before that stabilizes. So,
Yeah.
I haven't really seen Aaron Paul do much. I know he did that Need for Speed thing, which I just completely ignored. How was he in this? I mean, performance-wise?
I think returning to the role of Jesse is, like, if anything, the final 3 episodes of Breaking Bad focus purely on Walt. There's emphasis on Jesse to a point, but you don't get a lot of Jesse in those last 3 episodes, where this is like, Aaron Paul finally kind of gets a chance to show what he can do as, like, to a point as well, like he can even show what he can do as a lead. And I think a lot of things that he's been cast in outside of Breaking Bad have kind of been this typecast role, kind of like a Jesse, in that he's a bit of a badass and he doesn't really care, and he hasn't really had a chance to kind of flex an acting muscle, where in this, like, he shows every range of emotion, man. Like, there are parts where he's absolutely hilarious. There are parts where he is just, he turns the drama up to 11. There's some really cool action scenes that he gets to kind of flex an action muscle. But no, he was awesome in this. I thought he was really cool. It's also really sad, in a bit of a side note, but it's also been announced, Robert Foster, who was in the TV show, he's also in the movie as Ed. He is the guy who helps criminals get away, like, basically will flee them down to Mexico or to Canada or wherever and get them out of the country. He passed away the day after this dropped, and he gets a very nice story in this film as well, which I thought, like, if this is going to be his last acting role, like, that is how you want to end him.
Right.
In terms of, like, a film, like, in terms of just anything, like an acting career, he was amazing in it as well. But no, the film overall was pretty good. The only real complaint that I have is that there's a specific set of flashbacks that I'm not going to go into. It just, those flashbacks seem to drag on very long, and I think a lot of people will know what I'm talking about by saying that.
Yeah, well, I mean, the movie goes for 2 hours and 2 minutes. I mean, that's not too bad, especially being a home release too. I mean, obviously, pacing and things like that is a little bit different when you're at home compared to a cinema. I think you can get away with more exposition in a home release.
You can, but this film could easily have been cut down to an hour 40.
Right, without
like,
any sort of loss in quality.
You could have taken 20 minutes out of this film just in these particular flashbacks.
Yep, that's
like,
fair enough.
There's a good third of probably about a third of the film is this one series of flashbacks.
Yep, that's fair enough. That's kind of how I feel about with Blade Runner 2049 and the Joy character. Yes. Which is great, but you could have dropped most of it and saved yourself about half hour because it just goes nowhere. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's move on to other topic of conversation this fortnight, and that is Todd Phillips' recent release of Joker. Not the Joker, just Joker, which is starring Joaquin Phoenix, Robert De Niro, Zazie Beetz, and has been the topic of controversy, a number of them, and a great deal of division. To give you an idea, its Metascore is currently 59, but its IMDb rating with 285 or just under 285,000 votes is 8.9. This is a hugely divisive film. Divisive film, however you want to pronounce it. And I feel that's largely because of the content and the message and the story that is portrayed, which I think resonates with some people and repulses others. I could be wrong, but I won't go too far into it. Let's hear what you've got to say, Jesse. You've seen the film. Tell us what you think.
I have. So I didn't write anything for Joker because honestly, it's hard to, you have to put, like, trying to put it delicately. The best way I could describe it is I didn't write anything for Joker straight out of the gate because I feel like people, with all the inflammatory content about it that's circulating, you need to separate the film from the context of the film and what people feel about that. Because as a film, it's just a lot of other people who are much more accredited critics than me have said this. It's just like Taxi Driver. It's just like a billion other movies out there.
It's very Martin Scorsese.
Yeah, very, very. There are literally scenes in this, like Chris Stuckman, who does a lot of video reviews on YouTube. He pointed out best. He said there are literally shots in this movie that are not stolen, but they're so obvious as a homage to Taxi Driver and King of Comedy. And you've even got Robert De Niro in there as a talk show host. It's really Scorsese-like. It's very much emulating those vibes and that style from that era of filmmaking, especially Taxi Driver. So I feel like that whole bag of worms that people have going on with that's a whole other thing. As a film, fucking amazing. Probably the best movie I've seen all year.
Can I ask, and this is probably going to not explain a lot, but probably, I don't know, I'll just ask it because I'm not sure how to explain it. But if I rename this movie to Funny Man, and it had nothing to do with DC, but I didn't change the movie at all, other than the title, would it still be relevant? Like,
that's a good question.
I mean, is this a Joker movie, or is this just a funny man and his story of slipping into insanity?
So, like, this doesn't spoil anything for the film, but if people didn't know already, this script was shopped around for a long time. This was never a Joker movie originally. It was literally branded. It's kind of like a Cloverfield thing. It was literally just a script that was actually shopped around Hollywood. I'm pretty sure it was on the blacklist at one point, and everyone looked at it and was like, this is shit. We're not going to make it. And then somebody picked it up and was like, let's tack Joker onto this and we can market it better. And all of a sudden, Todd Phillips is on board, all these people are on board, and wham, it becomes Joker. So I think if you changed it, if you took it out and it wasn't Joker, you wouldn't get the marketability, but it'd still be a damn good movie. It really would. I think there's some things in it wouldn't be quite as impactful because.
So I mean, I guess a better follow-up question would be then is, if I'm not a comic book person, if I'm not into DC, if I haven't watched Batman or Suicide Squad or any of that crap, is this the sort of film that I could then sit down and watch as an independent film, knowing nothing about the Joker or Batman, and just enjoy it as a piece of film?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's literally, it works as a good movie by itself, and it works as a good
Because, I mean, movie, if you sit down with Suicide Squad, and I've done this, even I did this, I'm sitting there going, who's that, and who's that, and who's that, because I don't have the comic book knowledge.
No, that's not, that won't happen with Joker, because really the only relevance it has to comic books is set in Gotham. There's mention of the Waynes, and there's the Joker. I believe that's literally it. Oh, and the mention of Arkham.
Right. So you could quite literally change about 3 names, and it's not really Joker anymore.
Yeah, you could change the name. You could change the moniker of, like, in the title of calling him Joker. You could change a couple of character names, and you could change the setting to just New York City or something. Yeah. And it wouldn't. Right.
Now, without going into spoilers, I've seen a few articles that sort of talk about how, and I guess I don't know how you do this without going into spoilers, but I've seen some articles that sort of say that this is really, that there's a possibility. So I guess you could say, yes, there may be a possibility. That the possibility that the entire thing is inside, the lead character's head. That, it's inside of Arthur's mind. That it's just, the whole thing is just his self-created insanity.
Yeah, so they do a really good thing, and this isn't a spoiler. There's a scene near the end of the film where you can tell that was a perfect opportunity for the editing department for this film. The editor could have stopped it right there, and it could have literally skewed the film to being like, this all happened, or it didn't. So it really is like at the end of the film, you really can take this whichever way you want, which I personally really like. I really like movies that did that.
Sort of like Total Recall.
Yeah, Total Recall. There's a
does
really
he
good
wake
movie
up
from
or does he not? Yeah.
Well, there's a really good movie from the early 2000s that the ending of Joker reminded me of a lot, which is called Casualty, which has got John Cusack in it.
Right. Yes. Is it causality? Was it cause? I thought it was wasn't it causality? Not. But anyway, I know what you mean.
Yeah, the one where there's like all the people in the motel and there's this whole thing about mental illness. It's a really good movie, and Joker has that kind of vibe at the end there. But yeah, it definitely does have this ambiguity at the end of, like, you could watch it and go, everything that happened in this movie happened, or you could watch it and say he imagined all this.
So, without spoilers, if possible, what is it that's really upsetting people about this film?
Like,
or can you not do it because of spoilers? If you can't do it
No,
because
no,
of spoilers,
no,
don't.
no.
But there seems to be. I mean, apart from the Gary Glitter controversy, which that's nothing to do with the story. That was just duh. But there's a lot of people that are upset by this story because for whatever reason it may be suggesting or
like civil unrest and things like that.
yeah, I mean, look, the police presence at the cinemas in the North America was a thing. There was some concern that it would create some sort of civil unrest.
So this is the thing that I like. It's difficult to tackle this topic this day and age, and I don't say that to be inflammatory. I think that's just a fact that everyone has to deal with. We're becoming a more PC-oriented culture. We're becoming a culture that is having to put up definitions and boundaries on things that before didn't really exist or were a bit more grey. And I feel like with Joker, the backlash this movie has gotten is very much a sign of the times, with an ideology that people see smoke and there must be fire. It's kind of the satanic panic thing with D&D. I feel like Joker has become a vehicle for semi-irrational just like tail pinning, because it's not this has happened a million times before. That's the easiest way I can think about it, is like Taxi Driver exists. There are millions of movies that exist that have to do with mental instability, to do with oppression, through society, through
Jacob's Ladder,
Yeah, Jacob's Ladder. Blade Runner dealt with this too. The idea of the world doesn't care about you, and what will that make certain people,
nihilism.
certain groups feel? Yeah. Is
it fair to say then, though? I mean, if we look at Joker as a character, even in his most comedic form of, the campy early days of the comic book, we have as originally penned, going back in time, as originally penned, here is a character that is insane, who then motivates and stimulates and incites other insane people.
Yeah.
His whole character is about, manipulating insanity.
That's right.
Influence.
He's always
to influence.
been
And I think, is it fair to say then that when we make this film and we make it gritty and grounded in reality, and we take that kind of person and put it in a modern world, what becomes scary then is that 50 years ago you laughed at it, today it's just damn scary because it's plausible?
I honestly feel like...
Is that what gets under some people's skin, where they look at this and go, this is genuinely scary. Yeah, it's a bit close to home now. Like, especially when you ground it in reality so much, where he's not wearing, a bright purple or pink suit with a flower or that squirts water and all. Like when you take away the camp and you really put that, and DC have been doing this with their films for some time in terms of, and even their comics, really grounding them in reality.
Yeah.
Is it just a case of hyper reality and it's too much for people? Now, there's a question: do we need to dial back because this is a comic book character? This is, not reality. Have we gone too far?
See, that's the thing. Is that I personally don't think. I think dialing back is literally that. I think it is taking one step forward, two steps back. I think Joker as a film is a really damn good step forward for DC, because I feel like this. Like, aside from, I'll come back to what you're saying later, but basically Joker, I think, was go see it if you haven't seen it, just so that you can understand what the hell everyone's going on about. And two, from my opinion, don't listen to what everyone's going on about, because if you drown that out and just watch the movie, you'll come up with your own feelings about how it makes you feel. Because the criticisms I've heard about it inciting civil unrest, and like you said, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think that it is a fact that the way this film is produced, the way that it makes you feel when you watch it, the color palette that's chosen, the music, the mood, the really, really good Oscar-worthy acting from Joaquin Phoenix.
I was just going to touch on that briefly too. Like, just from what I've seen in the trailers, like even the color palette and that sort of yellow saturation reminded me of Scorsese's sort of 80s films.
Yeah, it's like Scorsese cross a True Detective, cross a Mindhunter. It's got a real monotone sort of color palette.
Yeah,
very
greeny kind of. Yeah.
Makes everything look sickly and oppressive.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, is I walked out of this movie, and I'm not saying this as like a airy fairy, like film person, but I've walked out of it and I was like, I have to go home and watch something else, because this movie's made me feel uncomfortable. Like I just felt down. It made me feel it affected me. It made me feel kind of weird. Like my partner looked at me, she's like, "You okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, like I really love that movie." It just made me feel weird. Like I need to go home and watch a romantic comedy or something. Because
but Taxi Driver does that too as well. It's not a happy film. It does.
No, it's not.
It's really not at any stage. Even though it comes to a conclusion, there's nothing happy about that.
That's
film.
right, and that's exactly the thing that I think about Joker. There's a big argument about this movie. One of the really early ones was it's normalizing violence and it's normalizing psychotic behavior. I don't think so. I can understand why people think that. I think that that's incorrect though, because everything.
Would it be fair to say then that it could also be putting a spotlight on people who slip through the cracks? Because I mean, from what I saw of the trailer, where he's saying to his counselor, "Look, I only have negative thoughts," and she's dismissive. Could you argue that this is a spotlight in some ways to say, "Hey, look, there are these people that are slipping through the cracks. They're maybe not going to turn out to be the Joker, but this is something we need to be aware of."
Yeah, that's exactly right, and that's a big thing. I feel like people have missed the mark in thinking that the Joker is inciting its themes. It isn't. I think it is showing you, look, these are the situations that led to this guy cracking. We're not saying that this is good or bad. We're just saying this is the outcome of what these things do to people, and it asks you important questions like, what part does society play in this? What part does an everyday citizen play in people being forgotten or people being closed in, and the completely separate from that, it sounds like they're painting Arthur as a sympathetic character. But every time something happens to him in this movie, and you do look at him and go, man, this guy's life sucks, the very next scene they undercut it with something else that you just look at him and go, you're really fucked up inside, aren't you? Like, there's something wrong. It doesn't matter what bad things happen to you. It's just these bad things are just like stoking a fire. Eventually, you're just going to become what you were always going to become. So, no, criticism that people have with this, I understand where it's coming from, but seriously, violence, it's like the violence in video games thing. It's been around for a million years. This movie's not doing anything new.
So I guess, though, if we were suggesting this film, would you say if you are someone that's dealing with mental stress or depression, maybe avoid this film for now? Would that be a fair comment?
Yeah.
I mean, I know you're not a doctor. We're not doctors, so we're not giving you any medical advice. But if you were somebody that was perhaps feeling that society's getting you down and maybe had some really negative thoughts, would this be something to skip for a little while?
I would say if you're someone that you feel in yourself that your mood is affected by things you watch or conversations you have with people, there are certain themes in this film that I think will put people in a depressed state of mind, because I'm not a depressive person. I don't have any clinically diagnosed issues that I'm aware of, and it definitely affected me in the fact that I felt very just down. I just felt very afterwards.
Right.
And so I would say, viewer
discretion.
Viewer discretion. If you feel like this movie might make you feel uncomfortable or really mess with your mood, and it might make you feel a bit down, maybe don't go see it, or maybe go see it with someone like a support person, someone that you trust, someone that can bring you back up if it does bring you down. But as a film, it really genuinely upsets me how much hate this is getting from different groups of people, because I feel like it is the D&D satanic panic thing. People don't understand how much they're lambasting this film when it is just a film. And like I said, it wasn't even meant to be a Joker film. It was just a film about a guy that, to quote the Killing Joke, you have one bad day, or he has several bad days, and it just puts you in that place where he becomes a monster. And it's
you're just one bad day away from being me.
Exactly. and that's what I was gonna say. Like to wrap up the thing with the Joker, like all the controversy aside, because that's the trouble, is you get bogged down in the controversy of this movie. It's a really good movie. It really is. The entire movie is pretty much always Joaquin Phoenix. It really doesn't cut away from him ever. There isn't really side characters, and the ones that exist are intricately linked to him. But as a Batman movie, it also shines really well. I honestly, if they decide to bring him into a Batman film as this Joker...
Well, I was going to ask, is there room for this Joker in an extended DC universe?
Yeah, for sure. Like that's something not a lot of people have talked about, and I thought that straight away. I'm someone that loves the original Batman film. I love Jack Nicholson. He's my favorite Joker on screen. Joaquin Phoenix, his interpretation of the Joker is right next to Jack Nicholson for me. He's so good. And this introduction to him as a backstory is probably the best Joker backstory I think we could ever ask for on screen.
All right, well, I got two other important questions. Then I'm going to let Lucas badger you if he's got questions.
Okay.
One is, and this is a dumb question, but I'm going to say it anyway. So Phoenix versus Leto versus Ledger.
Ledger.
Still, yeah.
No. I personally think Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, like, Leto sucks. Sorry, that's a fact. He's just. I don't think anyone that makes a tiered list of the Jokers even bothers with putting him up high.
I forgive Leto only because I think the material he was handed was well, at least with Warner Brothers interference, was subpar. I'm sure the original director had better ideas. So,
I like the visual direction that he took the Joker, but yeah, I think Heath Ledger's always going to be a difficult one to try and like.
Trump.
A lot of people put him above Jack Nicholson. My personal love for the Burton movies puts Jack Nicholson on top, but honestly, I'd say Joaquin Phoenix is actually
close.
A more compelling Joker, more compelling descent into that character. So I liked him a little bit more, but that's not taking anything away from Heath. He's still an amazing Joker.
All right, and last question. I know you said this was an original script before it was even Joker. Does this follow the Killing Joke storyline at all, or does it have elements of that storyline in it? Without spoilers?
It definitely has like elements to that in the sense of like you'd see in the trailer him being in the comedy bar, and like my mother always said I was supposed to bring people laughter and joy. There's definitely allusions to that. I won't say whether it does or doesn't delve into the Red Hood stuff because I don't want to spoil that for people and so they can see for themselves, but it definitely has allusions to stuff from Killing Joke, but it also is very much its own thing. It just sort of paves its own way, makes its own fairly simple origin, and it really works actually. It's an origin that you walk out and you're like, yeah, I totally buy that for the Joker. Like,
he doesn't just fall in a vat of chemicals.
Yeah, exactly. He's not
shortest origin story of all time.
He doesn't fall backwards into a vat of chemicals. He doesn't have his Mr. Freeze from Batman and Robin moment where he just
chill out. All right, I'm gonna let Lucas badge you. Go on, Lucas. You got any questions? Or have I hit them all?
I guess I just have one question.
Well, here we go.
The one question I do have is, are you saying that a movie about a clown isn't funny?
See, that's the thing, is that I actually have heard a few reviewers say that this movie isn't a funny movie. That's not true. There's only a couple, but there's a couple of scenes in it that
I was saying that
the rest of it is so good.
I was just saying that mainly for a troll.
No, I know. But yeah.
There isn't really much because I haven't seen it yet, and I really want to see it. My only question, and this might be the weirdest question. How big is Zazie Beetz' role? Because she's only really in the trailers a little bit, and the vibe that I've gotten from the trailers is that she's not in it much. And I actually think that is probably like a very bad decision because she's an amazing actress. But I would also get why she would not be in it as much. So
this isn't spoiling anything. She is like a side part of the film. She's someone that lives in Arthur's building, and like they have this like meet cute moment in an elevator, and she's basically kind of there as like a sort of like that one light in the dark tunnel in his life. Like he meets someone that's actually nice to him, and so she is used in it. She's there for about probably half to 3/4 way through the film. She's involved intermittently, but she's not like a major character. But she's in enough of it to influence the plot. Essentially, everyone in Joker that isn't Joaquin Phoenix is there to propel his character arc forward. So, like, I can't remember her name, the lady from American Horror Story and a bunch of other things. She played the elderly version of the maid in the first season of American Horror Story. She plays his mother. Oh, Frances Conroy. That's it. Yeah, she's in it. She plays his mum. Zazie Beetz is in it. There's a few other characters like Thomas Wayne, which you see in the trailer. They're intermittent, and they're not. I feel like people that are worried, like you said, if her being underused, their use in the film is perfect. It's just the right amount because they don't steal from him, and they're not characters that require their own spotlight. So like side plots need to be tied up. They're just there to propel him forward or backwards. Okay. So, but yeah, she's good. She's really good. I love her too. I think she's an excellent actress. I was really, really happy to see her in it, and it was just good to see her getting more recognition. But yeah.
Yeah, cool. I guess that's really the only question I have, just because I don't want to know. I don't want to know a whole bunch, but I feel like I need to. I feel like I want to ask stuff, but I don't want to know the answers.
Yeah, I feel like the best way I could put it is this is a really good movie. If you took Joker out of it, it's a really good movie that has nothing to do with the Joker, and it's a really good Batman movie as well. The way that they ended it is such a good setup, because this movie took so much time and so much care with this character that if this Joker came back, I feel like this is what DC is missing more than anything. Like people say, they're just trying to race to get Marvel. This Joker, if he comes back, everyone has seen this movie. It's like Split. I understand why that character is here. I get what they're doing. I know what they're thinking. And without spoiling anything, the connection that the Joker has to Batman as an actual antagonist is done in this movie so well and so subversively that I wasn't expecting it to be done this way. But when people see it, I think they'll probably be on my side of the fence for saying this sets up a really good rivalry between him and Batman in the future. But yeah, go see it. Everyone, go see it.
All right, so just wrapping up quickly, between now and next fortnight, we've got Zombieland 2 Double Tap hitting the cinemas 17th of October. We've also got Judy releasing the same day, which is the Judy Garland story. I'm actually kind of interested in seeing that, although I'm not a huge Renee Zellweger fan, but I do like Judy Garland, because she had a pretty fucked up life. Like, she had some bad... I feel sorry for the bitch. So I'm kind of keen to see... No, really. Like, I like... Christ. You know, if you seriously, even if you just don't have the time, like, pull open Judy Garland's Wikipedia page and just read what happened to her. Like, it's pretty fucking brutal. Like,
can someone certify you so that on the Blu-ray release it has, in quotes, I feel pretty sorry for the...
Yeah, right. And we've also got, for the younger audiences, we've got Maleficent, Mistress of Evil coming out with, Angelina Jolie and Ed Skrein and Judo Temple and all that sort of stuff. So that's happening at the cinemas. We'll have another podcast before November. We're going to have Terminator and a few other bits and pieces, some choice cuts. There will be some stuff on Netflix and Amazon. I'm not going to go digging around through that now, but, check your sites and have a look.
I'll only say, though, I wish Event Cinemas and Australian Cinemas would get their shit together and bring Jay and Silent Bob to Australia.
Yeah.
It's not going to be in cinemas anywhere here, and it drops on Friday in the US, so...
Yeah, Kevin Smith would literally just tell you to pirate it.
He probably would.
He really would. He'd just be like, you know what, Australia, just torrent the shit out of that.
Just fucking do it.
Just do it. All right, we'll be back next fortnight. We're going to have a whole bunch of news, a whole bunch of trailers. Ethan won't be with us again because he's off masturbating in a cupboard in the dark, trying to become a mushroom. So I'm not sure who we'll have on the show, but we'll figure it out. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much to our Patreon supporters who help make this podcast possible. Your contributions are very much appreciated. They keep us with our SoundCloud Pro account, so you can go back and listen to all our mistakes from years gone past. We'll be back next fortnight. Until then, look after yourselves, and we'll catch you next time. I don't want to be a pie.
I don't like gravy.
I don't like gravy.